I do want to get back to Bradley Beal here to detail his options. So for front office insider Bobby Marks is joining us. So Bobby, what can you tell us about the deal that Bradley Beal can do? What are his options?
Yeah, I mean, that $181 million extension is still sitting there, and it's likely he's not going to sign it. It's been well known, so we could take that off the board right now. He's got that $36.4 million player option, likely to decline that. He could sign that big contract with Washington, 5 years, $245 million. Here's the interesting thing. He could also opt into that number. If he wakes up one morning and says, I don't want to be a Wizard anymore, I want to go to another team, he can opt in. We've talked about it with James Harden, and sign a 4-year, $199 million extension after he's been traded, 6 months after. So essentially, he's only going to lose about $4 million. Here's the thing. Beal has a trade bonus in his contract. So if he's traded, he's going to get $5.4 million. So he'll make up the difference, what he would be leaving on the table with Washington than what he could sign with a new team. So there's not much of a difference there. And then, of course, the cap space route. 4 years, $182 million. But Indiana, Detroit, Portland, Orlando, San Antonio, not contending teams right now. So here's the two options to keep an eye on. The 5 years, $245, and then certainly that opt-in, and then possibly asked to be moved at the, in the offseason.
Well, and Bobby, you have to imagine, right, that if Bradley Beal comes to the Washington Wizards, we just heard Woj say that if he wants something else, this is a continuous dialogue, right? And Woj said that this is something that they've been chatting about. So you have to imagine that if Bradley Beal wants out, he's been so loyal to that franchise, they're going to work with him. I want to bring in the entire panel here, Zach Cheney and Big Perk. And Big Perk, I'll start with you. Do you believe that we have seen Bradley Beal play his last minutes in a Wizards uniform?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that question, and here's why. It seemed like every single year, Bradley Beal's name get brought up about whether or not he should leave the Wizards or is he going to stay or whatever the case may be. I think Bradley Beal got to decide what do he want to do. Like, do he want to continue to stay in Washington and be that guy, be that go-to guy, or do he want to leave and actually be probably a second-tier guy or robbing to somebody else and try to go compete for a championship? Look, everybody have different goals for us when they're in the NBA, for us what they want to achieve and what they want to accomplish. But I'm going to say this like I used to say in the locker room to the young guys. Do not pass up your lettuce. Get all the money you possibly can, because at the end of the day, I get it. It's entertainment to us. It's entertainment to the fans. But at the end of the day, it's a job, and you're supposed to maximize and get as much money as you can before this is all over with.
Well, and that's one thing that's so interesting about what Bobby just told us, is that he has multiple options that would get to similar lettuce, if you will, Zach.
He's not going to leave any lettuce on the table. And your Perk's right, he shouldn't. This is a players' league. The money either goes to the teams or the players. Give it to the players. They're the ones we're paying to watch. So I think it's a coin flip. As Perk has said, the noise has been all over the place in terms of whether these are his last minutes or he's played his last minutes with the Wizards. I think, honestly, I bet he watches the last 20 games of the season and says, let's see what this team's got. Let's see how these young guys progress. Can Spencer Dinwiddie, who's had really a disappointing season for them, can he find his game? Is there something for me to come back to here where I have hope? And if there's not, if they continue to play like they're playing, I would lean towards some fireworks this summer.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. Coming from the player perspective, the number one question when you have decisions like this is loyalty, and you feel that pressure. You want to be at a franchise that you feel like you've taken them to the mountaintop. But like you said, Perk, sometimes the only thing that's loyal is the bread, while your body is the way you make your money. And I think it's fascinating that, Bobby, I'm looking at you, that you brought up, and thank you for breaking it down in a way that I can understand. The trade bonus, how he could potentially get more money by getting traded, which is another test of loyalty. Am I correct? I mean, I don't think his mic's on, but he said yes. So I just wanted to verify that. But the fact, that's another, like, hearing that as a test of loyalty. I spoke to Damian Lillard quite a bit about his situation. We're friends. We've been knowing each other for a couple years now. And I feel like these guys are at similar junction points, Dame and Bradley Beal. Both guys that the cities have really embraced, both guys that have put their whole heart, body, and soul and their game out there and maxed out in certain scenarios. And the question is, what do you want that legacy to be? Do you want a tag team with another star? And you see sometimes it works out really well, but look at Brooklyn, sometimes it's way more complicated. That's what's going through their heads. And I do think that Bradley is loyal, but at some point you have to take your cues from the front office, like we're seeing with Portland, getting Coach Chauncey Billups in there, starting to make these trades. You know, CJ was always in conversations about trades, but now you're seeing things happening. All right, maybe that takes a little pressure off of the athlete. You need to see those same things happening in Washington. And I feel like because Portland has been in the playoffs, the urgency is not on them per se right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think watching those last 20 games, watching, you know, the way the rest of the season plays out, watching what they're able to do. Because remember, at the beginning of the year, we were like, are the Wizards something? Is something happening over there? And then over the course of the season, it evened out. But I do think, Chiney, at this point, watching everything that Bradley Beal has given that organization, no one could fault him.
Yep.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.